really strange. It is really strange. And after a while you go, oh, never mind. Because you like me, we've been doing public speaking for so long, you just go, yeah, whatever that is, I just got to move on because that's just weird.
Exactly. But this is such a great show to do, and it's so much fun. And right before we started, I showed you a picture of this skunk. That's there's an empty lot that the borough owns that nobody can build on, and I pulled into the driveway and I saw these yellow eyes looking, and he was digging. And prior to the show, I probably would have been completely freaking out. I probably would have stayed in my car in a complete state of panic and fear.
You sleep in the night there.
I would have been terrified, but I thought, you know what? See outside, the skunk lives somewhere nearby. And so I wonder, do you know anything about the habits of skunk? Like, where do they sleep? Where do they keep their homes?
Well, pretty much anywhere. They're very opportunistic. They will find a used hole that somebody moved out of. It's just like apartments for us. Somebody moves out, no landlord. You ask the spiders to move to the left or move to the right, or they move out because you took up too much room. The biggest thing besides they can really roam where everybody needs to go, and skunks pretty much stay on their own until breeding season and that type of stuff. But what people really, really need to know is they do not, same with rattlesnakes, they do not want to bite you. They do not want to spray you because they have a minimum amount. Rattlesnakes specifically, they don't have unlimited venom. They have to rebuild that back up. So if they can't eat you, or if you're not threatening their life, or they feel like you're threatening life in the place of both the skunk and the rattlesnake is about not eating you. The skunk, they don't eat meat. Not like that. They do eat meat, but nice.
So I have a question, because I didn't even think of that. So of course, we can all smell when a skunk has sprayed, whatever. But I never even thought that a skunk would purposefully turn and.
It's their protection. They have claws because they dig holes, but they're not. Their paws are like panda bears and stuff like that. And so panda bears have much bigger ones, but they're just kind of fluffy, and they're great for digging holes because the claws are very, very, very long, and they have no manicure in their life except for the rocks and the ground. So that's for digging. Their protection is that smell. Is to really get you, and I promise I have never been shot. Luckily, I have worked with a lot of skunks, and we had some escapees a couple of times, but the worst one was the African porcupines. I was walking around at night. It was like 12:30 at night, and I'm used to working with exotics because that was my shift for some time, was doing late shifts while everybody, because we all rotate. There was always staff around the compound. And how you walk by chimpanzees all the time, you walk by a tiger, you say hi to the bear, but they're asleep. And all of a sudden I'm seeing two porcupines, and they waddle, and their quills go and hit because they're hollow. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just walked by two.
And nothing happened.
I'm thinking, I think there's supposed to be a cage between us and them. So, I just got aboard to scoot them along, and put them back in a cage that I could, retain them and let the keepers know. By the way, they're in the left cage, not the right cage, because they dug their way out. And so there's all kinds of that. But you have to know what are the canines for? The big giant canines. Well, it's to rip meat, not you. I understand we don't taste very well. I've gotten a lot of reactions. And if you guys know what I do, yes, I can hear them talk. And a lot of captive animals are spoken to all the time by their keepers. So they really learn our body language. They learn our language, our tone of voice, all that kind of stuff. So it makes them even easier to communicate. And that's why I always say, talk to your pets, because they learn that timbre of your voice, happy, sad, mad, glad. So they don't want to eat us. I understand we don't taste well. But the snake can't eat us. So they're not out to bite you. You got everybody running around going, oh, their whole mission is to bite me. No, the whole mission is to get away from you.
That's really good to know. So in this case with the skunk, what do you think the skunk was doing? It was digging.
Looking for grub. It was looking for grub. Worms, bugs to eat.
Okay. And then it slithered behind the house. Yeah. So where do you think it was going? Just in the water? Do they swim?
Moist, soft dirt, where he thinks, because grubs typically, I'm no grub expert, but they're usually the worms and the bugs that are soft and that kind of stuff. So they're looking for the earthworms, and in California you're going to find them, and then you find the little squishy green ones. In your area you're going to find big ones. So they're digging. What people don't realize is these animals also create aeration of the soil, and they are mixing the seeds, and they're taking plants that have dropped seeds and then they're digging and that kind of stuff. So people are like, oh, this is really annoying. Well, yeah, then fence your backyard and don't let them come and dig up your grass. But your grass is going to have great worms and bugs and grubs and all that kind of stuff they like. So it's about coexisting. So the same thing about you and I are, let's say, neighbors. And I love Led Zeppelin. And I'm rocking it at midnight every single night. And you just got off of a 24 shift of a podcast and you need your sleep. It's a matter of different taste. So are you going to kill your neighbor? Well, I hope not, because that's illegal and probably a little overshooting what you need to do. And that's what I preach all the time. And literally it's a preaching, because so many people aren't listening, that we need to coexist. And if I can teach you to not be afraid and calm yourself down and just say, okay, I'm gonna just stand right here. And that's what I did when I and a coworker, I've told this story before, we're walking around at midnight, and my coworker and I were ending our discussion on what we were working on. So we were close because it was late and we were keeping our voices down. And I just said, hey, Mike, we have a rattler at our toes. And we'd walked up on it. So it was between us, and we were no more than 3 feet apart at most, because we were whispering. All we both did was calmly step back, because we both have a lot of experience with snakes. And the snake took off like it was running a marathon. So the same thing with your skunk. If you just stop, take a deep breath, go left, go right, and say, hey, I'm going to stay as quiet as I can. And the more experience you have, of course, the better you get about, you know what, they are not out to spray me or get me or whatever. I just need to calm down and let him pass. And that's what I wish you would do with mountain lions, coyotes, skunks, hawks, birds, whatever you see that you feel is a threat to you. The ants, I just kind of put something in their way and tell them to go around the other way. And rats are a whole nother story, because they're highly intelligent. They understand rat poison and all that kind of stuff. But that's a whole nother conversation of it. When you poison rats and mice and you use poison to do it, to kill them out of the way, so many birds of prey pick those bodies up, not knowing that they're poisonous, because that's not what a bird detects. They eat it, they bring it to their young, and the entire population of those birds died because the rat was poisoned. So that's why we really talk about there's other ways. And I know the exterminating community is really coming around to treating bed bugs and treating a lot of other things without chemicals. They exist. You can treat them successfully without chemicals and that type of stuff. I told a client the other day, it was a conversation that we all got on a social media. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, my cat is on the counter again. And we went over this and blah, blah, blah. I said, this is what you do. And I had a cat 10 years after we'd been with him. And he started getting on the kitchen counter. And I was like, oh, I don't think so. You know where their feet are? Litter boxes. That's gross.
Right.
I don't care how much you lick your feet. That's gross. That's why I don't have the cat licking me either, or the dog. And I just put foil up. And I crinkled it just a little so it makes noise. And I taped it underneath. And the next time the cat got up there, because the cat couldn't see the counter before he jumped on it. He jumped on this, and the little pokes on the feet. It only took 4 times, and he never got back on the counter again.
I love that.
It's easy. You probably own foil. I'm all about cheap, easy way to do it, because I feel if you don't do something that doesn't cost you a lot and it's really simple to do, you'll more likely do it and try it than me saying, now you need to go to blah blah and buy the $900 one, not the $200, $2. No, people are, first of all, lazy. I am. Everybody, we're living through lazy pandemic. lazy all over. And so if you have to make it simple, and you know this with as being a coach, you got to make it one thing. Okay, conquer that. One thing, conquer that. And then look, you know how to do that. You know how to give a speech. You're comfortable in front of people. You know how to drive. But somebody didn't throw you behind a wheel and say, hey, good luck. Let me know when you come back. Or
See you later. Exactly. Now, wait, Aminah, I want to go back to something you said before, because I think it's really important. When someone encounters wildlife, like a skunk or a mountain lion or whatever it is, how do we know? And obviously, you're going based on your experience. We just want to do a disclaimer here. We don't want people calling us and saying, oh,
yeah. And it's never always. I'm giving you one opinion and one experience throughout my lifetime. You're going to have 100 trainers teach you to tell your dog to sit a different way. You have to find the way that works for you. And I'm giving you at least 1 or 3 options. That's it.
Perfect.
So
now disclaimer made. So now we happen to encounter wildlife. Okay. How do we know when we just stand there and do nothing, or when we start running backwards, or some other option?
Don't ever run. Don't ever run. You will never outrun them. I don't care if it's a bison. I don't care if it's a grasshopper, or, he might outrun the grasshopper, but he'll probably jump on you at some point. And the spiders and stuff like that. You will definitely outrun the snake. But what happens if the snake can read your body language, because that's their life, and you decide to go left and think it's really sneaky because you're not, you're leaning right or left, and you go, and the snake already anticipated that and feels threatened. The hardest thing is to get your heart rate under control. And do whatever you need to. Sing John Denver songs, if you know what those are. And, sing a lullaby that your parents, or think of ice cream, or I don't know. Whatever gets you to calm down. Your energy brings on their energy, because they are better at reading our body language, and our energy is happy, sad, mad, glad, those really strong emotions, than we ever will be. I mean, their whole world is about knowing what's coming around the corner without ever seeing the corner. So that's how they stay alive. So you need to understand also, are you looking at a prey animal, or are you looking at a carnivore aggressive animal? So you're going to go either or. So if you're going to be looking at a prey animal, that means everybody eats them. So that would be like a sheep or a goat and that type of stuff. A horse doesn't really count in my book, because they're so big, they could literally kick everybody far enough away. But your cats and dogs and that kind of stuff, if they were out in the wild. Your foxes are a little bit small. So any of the smaller ones are going to be a lot more jittery. A snake is, compared to you, we're a carnivore to them. And so are they, but they're very small. So they are going to really protect themselves. If they coil up, great. Just know that that's a pre-strike also, because it gives them some velocity. You need to calm down. If whatever you do, stand still, and then little by little back up. Don't jump, don't run. Take it easy. Do it step by step, and just understand that. And I've actually done this with the story I just told. We were literally, almost 1 foot away from each other, and I mean like a shoe space. We were very close, because we were whispering to keep quiet for the animals. And all we did was gently, both of us stepped back very calmly, and gave that snake said, man, I don't need any other opportunity. I'm out of here. So you want to be able to do that. With porcupines, now we don't have a lot of those, but if you're in a place that has porcupines, they do not throw their quills. That's a Disney thing. It's not like a gun off their back. Some snakes can spit venom. Some venomous animals can spit the venom, but that's mostly in the tropic. Again, we live all over the place. Know the animal you're around. Know where you live, and respect that space. Go out and I don't know, wear heavier boots, especially if you're going to hike in the daytime. But why do I say heavier boots? Because you're going to make a more vibration on the soil, and everybody who can feel you for whatever, let's say 10 feet, 15 feet, and that type of stuff. And then if you're talking to somebody on top of that, they're going to know you're coming. So that doesn't mean it's not your responsibility to look, but I really want you to be safe because I want everybody to leave alive.
Yes,
there's
really,
a reason that they're on the planet.
really good advice. You know, a show that I love to watch, I don't even know if it's on anymore, Naked and Afraid. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of that. I try to keep my PG rating on my TV. Wow.
Well,
I can't imagine the sunburn, just that.
well, and so, but there are people living in tropical areas, right? Living in jungles, and this is their environment all the time. And so they must learn how to respect the creatures who live there, the creatures that live there, and give them their space.
You watch the show and take that survey, but I believe in you. I would bet not too much. I mean,
no. I mean, in the Amazon, not on the show, but
oh, good.
Yeah. No, not on the
show. They're going for, ooh, look, Bob got bit.
Right, exactly. No, but so my point is that in real life, when it's not reality TV and people are living in the Amazon or they're living in a jungle, I feel like they learn how to be respectful of the other creatures living there and vice versa.
Absolutely. If you think of Australia specifically, I mean, they're an island. And a lot of those animals were brought over and have now made that habitat for them. And sadly, now a couple of years ago, they, literally the island burned and that kind of stuff. So they lost a lot of animals and they lost a lot of habitat. So you get animals coming into town. You get animals, you get them because they're hungry and they need water and they need food and all that kind of stuff. So I would think places like that. And I'm completely biased because all my contact with people in Australia are, of course, people like me that are animal people. So I don't know about the pedestrians. You have to talk to them. But because they're seeing koalas in the trees and animals here and there and all this kind of stuff, you would have a relationship with the dingoes. It's a type of dog. And you would have a relationship with these other carnivores and these beautiful little koalas that are, fairly shy and that kind of stuff. And if one fell out of the tree, you know what phone number to call. Hopefully they have a 911 version for animal things. And I would think in the African continent, you'd have the same setup where you knew who to call because everybody was around these animals to respect them, because an elephant will run over you. I promise.
Yes,
especially the bulls or a mom. So it doesn't matter where you are. Just because you think the butterfly is annoying or a moth is annoying or a widow spider is terrifying or annoying, I truly believe God didn't make any mistakes. Not with making you, not with making me, not with making any bug they did. I'm not really thrilled about the mosquitoes. I've spent time in Alaska. They really are big and they really suck a lot of blood out of you. But I wasn't the creator. So I just go, man, I'm just going to wear a whole lot of bug spray. Perfume is bad. Perfume is really bad. If you're going to go hiking, don't get the floral sunscreen, blah, blah, blah. No, because you're just asking the mosquitoes to come hunt you down. They're like, ooh, yummy. Let's get that one.
There's dinner. There's lunch.
Exactly.
Well, there's another animal I want to ask you about. And I also want to talk about these animal trailways or highways that you were referencing. Great. But first, we're going to take a break. Perfect. And I'm really excited. Next week, before this show, we are hosting a special live event for an award-winning singer-songwriter. His name is Tony Moore, and he's releasing his new track, Never Gonna Say Goodbye. So I'm really excited about that. So let's watch his current one, which is called Route 66, and then we'll be right back. Hello, and welcome back to Presenting Pet Psychic Aminah here on USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. Aminah, you were giving us some great advice and direction about what to do if you encounter animals in the wild. And so one that was really afraid of, haven't seen any in about 2 years, but will be seeing them soon, are the very large iguana that I had no idea that they live in trees. And they in Florida, and the weather had changed. This is a couple years ago, and there was a frost, and they actually fell out of the tree.
Yeah.
So now,
whenever a lot of people, because you're thinking, my gosh, what is that gorilla? King Kong. King Kong just fell on me.
Yes, and by the way, from what I read, they can run up to 12 miles an hour.
They can. When they see a human, they're like, "Man, I'm out of here. I don't want to be with that carnivore."
I'll just give you just a quick story, and then you can give some direction to me or anybody living in Florida or wherever. So there's a trail that I like to run, and it's basically concrete right through the woods or whatever.
Right.
And they will just position themselves in the middle of the trail. It's like, dude, I have nowhere to go. Like, what are you doing? And then I end up going back the other way, but it's a circle, so I encounter the thing again. So what does one do in this situation?
I love a video. Here she goes. Here she goes. Here she goes. Here she goes.
It's exhausting.
What is that woman doing?
So what should I do?
The best thing to, and I assume we're talking just your regular 6-foot iguana, tree loving thing, right? Okay.
They're pretty, they're pretty big.
Yeah, they can get 12 feet, and if they're well fed and all that kind of stuff, they're I would first of all, they can run really fast. So they're going to take off like lightning. I would get a stick or carry with you. They have those expandable like canes or pokers that teachers use like for on a board when they're talking about something, a pointer. That's it.
Yes.
A pointer, anything like that. But you could literally get a branch or a stick or something and just say, dude, move. And then just tap him on the tail. Just tap him on the tail. It'll freak him out. And so you do take the chance that he'll turn around and go, no, I want the sidewalk. Then just give up. Just because that's much explaining on training to go, yeah, let's not go head to head with the lizard and that type of stuff. But what we're going for is like blowing somebody's, have you ever blown in somebody's face like a bird or a baby or a puppy, and they go, whoa, because they don't understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. So what I'm talking about is shock and awe. The same theory as blowing in somebody's face. It's not harmful. It's not poisonous. You're not hurting them in any way, but you're telling them very clearly with body language. Remember, animals are really, really about body language, that I want to startle you to not be around me. So go away. Because they're like, so you're just too strange. I have to move.
Will they then turn around and try to hit me with that big tail?
Possibly but there's going to be a lot of things, can't be in the lizard's head. It's a very small head anyway, but our brain. But if they feel threatened by a food issue, that's where the gloves come off. If they're eating, if they're in sight of something that you, of course, and I don't see, that they're hunting, and they're like, oh, because they do understand we are a carnivore. So it is about battle for space. Maybe it's a dominant male. You don't see a female that he's chasing because she's already dodged out when you took over the attention span and that kind of stuff. So if it's mating, if it's food, these are the two big things that the animals are going to fight over and be threatened over. And cubs, babies. And now lizards are totally different. Their babies kind of move off pretty quick. But if you're talking about an animal on any of those points, just think about yourself. If it was your puppies, if it was your mom, if it was, any of that kind of stuff, you would be as defensive, like, wait a minute, what's your intention? As opposed to just abandoning your children. So
right.
All rules change depending on what's the motivation. So you're already bigger. So you need to be centered, take as many deep breaths as you can without fainting, because I've actually seen somebody do that. I was like, whoa, too many deep breaths. So I have to caveat that now. And because, yeah, he'll just come over and look at you and go, nah, you don't taste good, and I'm out of here, because lizards are not going to do that. But lizards do eat meat. So it's not just vegetables, because the ones you're talking about, they're very big. They're very, very big lizards. We're not talking the little, lizards that we have in the desert, like blue bellies. They're really small. So calm, centered, and stand your ground. Have a stick or something that protects you, that keeps your distance. And that, like, if you had an umbrella, I would hope you didn't have a pointy one, but a lot of them don't come actually points, so people can walk with them and that kind of stuff. But you make your stance and say, okay, time to move. You could stamp your feet, and that startles him, because he's like, whoa, wait a minute. So that tells, let me give you an example. If you stomped your feet and you're wearing your great tennis shoes, which are heavier, and that kind of stuff, even high heels would work, because they would clack, but you could really stomp your feet with authority and say, no, move. And then you get a little closer, and then you stomp your feet and you go, no move now. Let's go move now. Because yes, I've dealt with these animals. So it's, I had my hand in a bear's mouth. I'm not worried about a lizard. So.
Well, I just think it's scary. I hate to use the word scary, but if you're out running and they're in the trees, and you
they're trying to stay there. Just remember, they get possibly injured to death. If they drop and they break a leg, it's a death sentence for them, because there's no 911 to call and say, give me a cast, and how do you eat and feed yourself? Yeah, it's a death sentence. So they're going to be really, really careful. They're very great climbers. So I wouldn't worry about them over your head, except for them might poop on you and pee on you. And that would be more gross. And that kind of, because they'll hit the ground going, I lost my air, and off they go. But it's safer for them to be in the trees.
Well, so thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that.
And don't go underneath them. You'll be peed on, possibly.
I want to move on to our next subject, which I think is a good segue. So I was driving back from Virginia, and I was on a major road, and there was a wildlife, a vehicle that said wildlife, whatever, pulled
like
over.
Police or?
Yes,
or
it was somebody of authority.
Okay.
And they were wearing the uniform. And so what I saw was this deer, and it looked like it was limping, one of the legs, and it was trying to cross the highway. And so this person in authority was trying to, from the Wildlife Commission.
Fish and Wildlife is what that's called.
Yes. And I was thinking to myself, what is going to happen to this deer? Because I don't think the deer is going to let this person put the deer in the vehicle. And now the deer has a broken leg. Are they going to take it to the vet? So I think it's important about these highways that you talked about for animals. So what are your thoughts?
And that deer will spend time in a sanctuary. We're really fortunate now. Before they would actually, they'd actually put them down. And I always pray and hope they donated the meat to a shelter or something. They do that more now than they did 20 years ago, even 15 years ago. So luckily, when wildlife is killed, like a deer that people eat, they will donate the meat to a processing place that will donate it back out. Now we have a plethora of rescue centers. And that was how the place I worked also got started too, was rescuing Hollywood animals and things like that, if they don't perform, it's not worth the money to keep them. So there needed to be a place for these animals to go. Injured animals. We had a lot of birds of prey that had been shot out of or fell out of a tree and one wing. They can never be on their own ever again. So they go to a sanctuary. So the deer hopefully will be one of the two things: the meat be donated and or go to a sanctuary, if it can at all be possible. I hope they don't make the decision, the Fish and Wildlife people don't make the decision to just go ahead and put them out of their misery. Sometimes they have to do that, and they will shoot them on sight and then carry the carcass out because either they're mangled so badly or the animal's suffering. And they're really, really good about saying, no, we're not going to, do that. But there's the decisions. Okay, do we think we can get this to a rescue? Yes, no, whatever, but if the animal's just gushing blood and the leg is hanging there, they might just put it down instantly and then and then donate the meat and or, you know, something like that. What they did once in a while, I don't know if they're still doing it. I don't keep up with the hunting community. That seems a little counterintuitive for me. But they would sometimes donate it to one of the hunters that was there that called it in, or somebody, if they said, can I have it? What I heard last is they no longer do that because, believe it or not, and I know you believe it because you are so, this platform, all the things you're learning, people will sneakily hit them, or shoot them or whatever, and then say, oh, and I found him, and call the Fish and Wildlife. And then they're finding out, wait a minute, you're the one who hit him. What
Right.
do I look? I have stupid on my head. These guys,
Right.
these ladies and men in this field are they're not idiots. That's why they do that work. They know what it looks like to be out there. So they stopped. A lot of places stopped giving the meat to the person that was helping them because they found out too many. It incentivized too many people to accidentally hit a deer, and so they won't give them to you. So,
well, tell us about these highways that you have out there in California, because
they're animal
not
bridges.
that I know.
Yeah, they're called animal bridges, and many names under there. And a lot of communities are doing this. California has been doing this a lot. And if anybody doesn't know, I am in California. And so that's why I'm so aware of what's going on here in this state. And it's all over the world now. Japan has one. I put pictures of these beautiful overpasses on my Facebook page. So please join me anytime for the silly and wonderful, but for a lot of the learning also. I think last month I did one from Japan. China's doing it. Europe is doing it. It's a big thing now because they're finally realizing they're building a bridge like over the freeway. And it's just for animals. And the ones that they're really doing beautiful now, Jacalyn, they're putting grass, even fake grass. They're making it just gorgeous. The bridges are artwork, and they're smaller depending on the animal and that type of stuff. We don't have any elephants. I don't think Africa's doing it yet, but all of these countries that have all these hills and places where they have goats and sheep and camels and all these places where they're getting killed and people are getting killed. I want to really acknowledge, if you're going to hit not just an elephant, but in California, we have mountain lions. These animals are very solid, and you hit one and your car's toast, and it's a good chance that the person behind you doesn't hear it, and you got a chain reaction. People die. People and the animals die on these freeways. We have mothers who are killed that leave cubs who, if they don't find them, they die. So it's really dangerous. So I applaud all the governments for looking into, okay, how can we do this better? And I believe that, I haven't looked at this in years, so I apologize for not knowing all the details. Everybody gets to look it up. Is Europe and some of the other countries in Canada and Alaska and these kind of places where there's a huge animal issue. Alaska, not specifically, but they don't have the big freeways that I remember, just one or two. They started this really, really doing it beautifully. And they went from just these silly walkways that they converted that were people walkways, but animals were needing it more, and they just built another one for the people. They're beautiful. They're really, really artistically beautiful. And the animals cross them, and people have cameras that, the government will put cameras up and people can watch them. And it's really become part of just a really neat thing to go to that area and or get online and say, hey, I want to watch the camera and watch who walks by. It's become a really positive thing for the community.
That's really fascinating. I'm so glad to hear that this is something that's taking place, because to your point, if just like people, we have to get from point A to point B, and but there's a big highway in the middle. How are we supposed to get there?
Well, yeah, and think about it just exactly what you said. So thank you for putting it that way. And then think about, you have your babies in the back car seat, and you got an elephant that walks over the road. I know you'll lose. I promise you will. You will lose, and that kind of stuff. And an elephant will defend their territory and their right to be walking. And you see movies and pictures in Africa all the time where the elephants are just walking down the road. Well, why risk the trees and get hit in the head and the bush run into you, or you dump in a hole when they've got this beautiful, perfect dirt lane? that they just assume was made for them. And they've got pictures of lioness prides just laying in the middle of their roads. I would kill for those moments. I'm sorry, I would really kill for those moments. We can all do better, and we are doing better and at a time, but we're almost out of time because the planet is suffering. We overfish, we overtake the trees down, we over this, we over that. It's me, myself, and I, and we've lived too long like that, and we still are looking at that. I mean, the pandemic has shown exactly, we're all over the place of where we feel on that issue. So it has affected the wildlife in the same way of years and years and years, and say, man, I'm man and I get to build my house wherever I want. Well, you just built it in the middle of whatever place. And someday we really got to talk about, like in Australia, it's in Australia, these island, Hawaii's and that type of stuff, where people came on ships. They did it with Hawaii. I know they did it with Australia. In Australia, they brought a toad. Let me just use that as an example. They brought a toad and it proliferated, and they brought sheep and stuff like that that wasn't on the island. And it just boomed. And Hawaii did the same. They brought goats, they brought sheep. All these people got off the boats, and traders. And when the white people came in and that kind of stuff, they brought all of these plants. Well, it decimated the islands. It just decimated the native population of animals. It decimated, because the sheep eat everything. Have you met one? and the goats, you want a lawnmower, and then they eat the roots because when they run out. So there's not a lot of water in these places on certain parts of the island. And in Australia, they have seasons and that kind of stuff, and have huge droughts. So 20 years ago had a huge drought where they really lost a lot. And then the fires, 3 or 4 years ago, a really decimation. But when you introduce, so let's say you adopt a parakeet. I don't know. Let's go with a parrot. And those are tropical. And you just let it go and say, I'm done. I'll go out and find its own food. First of all, it's been raised in captivity. How do you think it knows? It just knows. It's psychic. It just knows where to get food. No, they don't. They've always been fed. It always comes to them. But on the other hand, let's say you've got a couple of them out there, and that native hawk is no longer getting the only food. Those other birds are taking it. They're eating too many seeds because we have too many. It's the same thing with humanity. We all keep having 100 children, or we're living longer or whatever, and we're taking the resources. So we're not thinking about, wait a minute, do I want Jacalyn to have lunch today? No, I'm just going to have lunch today. Because, we need to care for everybody else, but we need to care for the animals, because they really are a part of the rebirth of our soil, the rebirth of our trees. And that's just coexisting. That's why the bridges are so neat, because to me, it's a huge step forward to saying, wait a minute, we will keep the freeways and do what we need to do to get to point A and B. But guess what? We don't have to kill everybody doing it. And how many years? How many years did it take us to put a bridge? Because the Asian Oriental, everybody, have you seen their bridges? They're fabulous. The little ones, the red ones, the blue ones, and the big ones. I'm sure we've invented bridges long enough ago for animals to have a pathway to get to hunting grounds, or to get to the other side of a freeway safely. And everybody lives, everybody wins. But sadly, we have to sell that to humanity and see where they benefit before anything happens.
Well, I'm glad to hear that we're taking some steps in the right direction. That's good news. Aminah, we've come to the end of our program, and I'm wondering if you could share with our viewers and listeners what they can expect for the rest of the year. Are you taking any of the holidays, the Black Friday or Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, or are you going to be going straight through with me?
Straight through with you. We have a party to do and all that kind of stuff. But that's for you to invite. I'm just the co-host that makes sure that, you stay awake the whole 12, 15 hours. I don't know how long it is.
So what Aminah is referring to is on New Year's Day, we actually have our 2021 reunion show, which is fabulous. And we'll be co-hosting an hour. And actually, you get to invite the guests for your hour. So there.
Cool. Cool. I pick
Yes.
all the non-speakers. No, I pick all my speakers to come back and that type of stuff, and just have a great time seeing where we're at and that kind of stuff. So no, holidays will be now nice and low key and that kind of stuff. But just love being a part of the group and the family. And you asked me something else. What else did you ask me and I didn't answer?
Oh, so for our audience for the rest of the year, who do you have on tap who's going to be joining us for the next coming weeks?
Well, I have been working on, a friend of mine is married to a Native American, and he has the most extraordinary life, and he gives back to, they've done foster children also, but they give back to the community every day. And we're still working on that, getting him in and getting his tech up and all that kind of stuff. So everybody say a good energy prayer that will come and join us, and just teach us so much about, I can't even say everything, and correct me on any of my misnomers or whatever. So I hope to add him, and just constantly looking for new guests. But for your audience specifically, Dr. Jacalyn, is I am offering a $25 appointment. They're normally $75. And this will run through February 1st. And if I forget, everybody remind me. And that is 30 minutes with me. And again, an hour is 75. You can always do that. But this is a deal for you, just for being a part of this wonderful platform and any of the shows you watch. All you have to do is go to bridgingworlds.us.
And Anna, I'm actually typing this. I'm typing it into the comments right now. So tell me again, book a 30-minute appointment with you for
$25.
Wow, what a great deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to give back, and of course I have to pay for all this in technology. I have to get online with and that kind of stuff. The banner's all paid for. So I want to say I can talk to your pets who have passed, and the pets that you want yet to get. Is it a good time? And the ones that are driving you crazy. And I had a client recently, I actually had to say, no, pet's not crazy. That would be you. So let's work on that, and that kind of stuff. I am a trainer. I have worked in a vet clinic, so I can help you with a lot of things in the conversation. I'm all about understanding origin. Are we talking about a cat? Are we talking about a dog? Are we talking about a camel? I hope you don't own a camel. But, are all of those types of things, snakes, spiders, all that. I have a lot of experience with all of them, either having owned them or worked with them.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you, Aminah. And I'm so excited. I put it on all the social medias. Book a 30-minute appointment with Aminah for $25.
And they have to tell me they found me on USA Global TV, Dr. Jacalyn's program. That's the secret code. All
right. Mention
Dr. Jacalyn is good enough. They don't have to do the whole USA Global, because that's kind of you and I, but that's where you'll find you, of course. USA
I just put that there.
Global TV, Dr. Jacalyn's show. If you give me that in the message, because usually I just have you email me, that's the best way to reach me. Because wherever I'm at, meetings, doctor's appointments, going to the grocery store, I can pick those messages and get back to you and start working on a time with you. So that's why that's the easiest. But you give those keywords, $25.
Dr. Jacalyn is the key word, the key phrase. All right, fantastic.
Well, again, that's good till the end of January.
Okay, till the end of January. So are you going to do the New Year's Eve show as well as the holiday reunion? That's actually right before.
Don't know that. If you need me there, I am your servant for the
Well, that's our normally scheduled show. Believe it or not, it happens to be on New Year's
yeah, absolutely.
Eve. Yeah. Okay.
Because you had said you're going to go straight through. So I'm going to follow you around straight through. And no, I got a pretty quiet. And there's so much fire danger here. If anybody even pretended to use fireworks, I mean, I'd be jailed for, I don't know, months. I don't really want to do that. I've never tried a jail. I don't really want to do that now.
I don't do that either. Well,
so
it's good to know we're just going to go straight through.
Yep, straight through. Working on my guest for January.
Yay.
December is pretty much done and that kind of stuff. And you and I think are hanging out Christmas Eve or something like that.
We are.
Yeah.
And I want our audience to know that it's official that next year, Aminah is part of the USA Global TV team. She is signed on to continue on with us. So we are really excited to have you.
Yeah, and this is about the audience. So please send me questions and give us a call. Everything changes. It was really nice. You might, because our social media is different, but the gentleman who joined us a couple shows ago asked some really brilliant questions, reached out, got on my social media, and so we've connected on that, and I've continued to help him with that and said, I'm here. So I'm all about education. You can't make a choice and make a difference if you don't know that there's a problem. So I really appreciate Dr. Jacalyn. You have always been open with saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. How do I get the lizard off the walkway? Bring a piece of cardboard. So easy because you're protected. I think that, and this is not disparaging. You're a tad short, littler person. So I would put the piece of cardboard with you, and you can just lay it on the grass, just take it home with you when you're done walking or running, and just scoosh him off. That would be the easiest way to just carefully just scoot him away. It keeps you safe. And you know how the flaps where the board moves, and they're bent to close. You just squish him, and if he turns around to retaliate, like spit his tongue at you or hiss at you or whatever, the cardboard's right there. It's protecting your legs and everything like that. They don't want to eat you. You're not yummy. I understand we taste terrible. And so you know what I mean? You could just squish him into the dirt. And then every time you go to that same spot, he'll be right back in the middle, by the way. You just go squish him over again. And after a while, he's going to go, oh, well, this is nonsense.
Not so much fun. And you know what? That's good direction. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, again, use what you have around you to just make it compassionate, easy. Nobody gets hurt, and you get them out of your way so you don't trip them. But you're kind of in a position that he's just going to get back on because you left, and he doesn't have the logic. Oh God, here she comes again.
Right.
By the fifth time going around, he might go, oh, well, I'm done with this. I'm heading out to the grass. So
well, there will
Bob. I name all of those the bugs Bob, and you can name your lizard Bob and say, Bob, we've talked about this last week. Move.
Get out of my way. Get out of my studio, Bob. All right.
Exactly.
I like it.
Oh, all right. Great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you. You're 3 hours before me, so I'm going to enjoy my evening. I've got a big event tomorrow, which is the Spin for Cures event in Philadelphia. So I actually will be going there and riding a bike for the 3 hours. And I want to say that this is the 3rd year for our team, Dr. J's Colitis Crew. We've raised more money than ever before. We're right now at $12,298. So
wow, that's wonderful. That absolutely is wonderful. That's wonderful. You have a great week. Yeah, I'm off to the errand land, getting no errands done for all week. So it's like, nope, time to get those done.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. It was a pleasure seeing you, and I'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, everyone, for an amazing week. It has been just wonderful. We've had so many great shows and great guests. We've got some new shows that if you're not aware of, I just want to mention them quickly. So we have The Power of Etiquette and Manners. That's on Fridays. We also have The Corner Bookstore. That is on Thursdays. Also on Thursdays, we have A World of Difference, which is a great show. We have the elevated listeners being featured on the Listening Mentor program. And then coming this week, we've got a show called Get Lucky with Meredith Allen. So I'm very excited about that. And she is the real queen of Feng Shui, as well as an incredible, successful global entrepreneur. So please do join us. Go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and just click subscribe so that you can be aware of all of our shows. You actually can just go to USA Global TV, and across the top, there's something that says playlist. You can click on the playlist, for example, and there'll be Pet Psychic Aminah. All of the shows are put into playlists by the end of Saturday. So you can see all the shows that we've streamed for that particular genre. and you can just watch any of our shows if you would like. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, just go to drjacalyn.com and you can book your session. Go across the top, look for book your session, and then sign up for any show that resonates with you. Thank you again. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to leave us with a song. It's very beautiful. It's called A Song for You, and it's by Madeline Chan. She is my vocal coach and my friend. She's also my partner for the Power of Listening, the Music Edition. Thank you. God bless you and take care. See you next week.
Life is wonderful. Every time I think of you, you just fill my life and make my dreams come true. I know I'll share my life with you. Words cannot express the wonder that I feel. I'm so mesmerized by the love that's in your eyes. My need of you is in my soul. I love you. I love you. As I sing this love song for you, only for you, only for you. Now we two are one, yet it seems we've just begun. Time has sealed our love with such memories deep and true. You live in me and I in you. I love you. I love you. As I sing this love song for you, only for you, only for you. I won't let go of this feeling. I've no fears, I've no doubts. This happens once in a lifetime and will not be shut out. So I'll let my heart inspire. As I sing this love song for you, as I sing this love song for you, only for you, only for you, only for you, only for you. As I sing this love song for you, as I sing this love song for you, as I sing this love song for you, only for you, only for you, only for you, only